Hello, everyone, again. Welcome back to the podcast. I am one of your hosts, Jay. Michael is accompanying me again. We have a lot of things to talk about this episode. I'm in beautiful Denver, Colorado right now. We tried to film this when I was outside earlier. It didn't quite work out, but as you can see, I am in Denver. You can kind of see like the backdrop a little bit. I don't know if you can see the mountains. You can see Mile High Stadium just right behind my ugly mug. So, yes, I am here, have a lot planned this weekend, but yeah, I'm here for it. Michael, how was your week? How's everything going, sir?
Everything's going good. Had a game yesterday. I've got a big game today that probably is as important to me as the Buckeye game. My sixth graders got a game this afternoon, so
Mm.
looking forward to that. Hopefully, they'll look a little sharper than our Bucks did yesterday. Huh.
Yeah, so obviously this is not a podcast about our personal lives. This is a podcast about Ohio State athletics. So let's just get right into it. The only thing let's just start off with a bang. Michael, what the fuck was that? Bro, what the fuck did we just watch, man? Talk me off the edge of the cliff, man. What is going on? Or maybe you're going to push me farther off. What the
Yeah.
heck is that, man? Let's start.
Well, it wasn't pretty, and there's no doubt about that. Indiana, we can fool ourselves. I listened to some of the Buckeye media yesterday. Some were very honest. Some were relatively honest. Some were still trying to sugarcoat it a little bit. Heard one guy say that would be well known among the Buckeye uh, listeners that Indiana's a pretty good defense. I mean, I don't know. We don't really know that. My gut feeling is that they're not a pretty good defense. I think they only had maybe a couple of good players out there, and the rest of them more Indiana type players. Very small sample size still. You got the Akron game, you got the spring game, you got this game. Doesn't mean anything, but there's nothing in the small sample size that we have had that grabs me about Kyle McCord that fills me with confidence that he's the kind of guy that can lead Ohio State to the place that it hasn't gotten under Ryan Day, the place that Justin Fields didn't take it, the place that CJ Stroud didn't take it. And then even going back to Urban's last year, the place that Dwayne Haskins didn't take it. There's nothing about McCord that fills me with confidence that he is going to be able to take Ryan Day's program to the next step. What do you think about the prospects of McCord winning this job outright, and then us watching him lead the Buckeye offense for the next 2 seasons? Because he's not getting drafted at the end of this year. So what are your thoughts on that?
My thoughts are that if he is the starting quarterback at Ohio State and we're still like having to rely on an explosive offense to be a national championship contender, then we're in big trouble. Now, I will say this. Do I think McCord struggled yesterday? Of course. Do I think he was absolutely horrible? No, I also don't think that. I think he's a game manager. He's not a guy who's just going to be able to take over a game and win it for you. But there were a lot of things yesterday that I didn't really particularly like about the game plan, personnel, that were not helping him at all. And in this podcast, again, we're gonna break it all down about what we liked, what we didn't like, but just addressing McCord real quick. Game manager, there are some throws there that he wasn't taking like shots on. I know that Marvin Harrison was streaking down the middle of the field one time. They showed it on replay, and the announcer's like, "Oh, well." I thought it was actually really funny when he said this. He was saying something about McCord being a freshman. He's like, "Oh, a freshman quarterback's not going to make that throw," or dude, he's a true
He's a
junior. What
junior.
what are you talking about,
Yeah.
bro? Did you even do any research on the team? Are you
Now
still
they're
stuck in SEC land working for
yeah.
CBS? What's going
Yeah,
on
yeah.
here?
First Big Ten game. I guess give him a little break, but yeah, true
Good
junior. No,
God, man.
yeah,
Have
yeah,
some professionalism. You make like millions of dollars. I don't make jack shit doing this, and I know this stuff. Come on. So, yeah, bro. So, let's just start off with let's be positive. I'm Mr. Positivity out here. Let's start off with some things we liked. And the number one thing I like, Michael, I really liked the safety play yesterday. Especially Josh Proctor. Do you have any thoughts on that?
yeah. I mean, I can't honestly say. I would like to go back and kind of watch more of the game without it being live first watch through, but certainly Proctor did flash in some places, and there was a time or two that he also kind of took a bad angle, which he's had some trouble with in the past. But for the most part, he played very well. And I've always thought he was a talented guy. And so we had this conversation like, is he going to figure it out as a 6-year senior and put it together? And the conclusion was kind of like probably not, but maybe he is. I mean, based on yesterday, it was pretty solid performance by him.
I loved Josh Proctor. I mean, he was he was the best player on defense yesterday that I happened to notice. Maybe outside of well, no, I would put him above anyone. He was playing fast, physical. He provided speed, length. I mean, he even made a play and pass coverage on a deflection. Really can't say much more positive about him. It took him 6 years, but it looks like he's here now. Granted, Indiana's offense really sucks, but he did what you're supposed to do against an offense that is that bad. Um, and I'll say the safety play in general, even outside of him, I liked a lot. I mean, I didn't really notice Lathan Ransom as much, which is good. You're not really supposed to be noticed as a safety as much, but
Yeah.
if you are noticed, I expect you to make plays such as Josh Proctor. The freshman that everybody's been hyping up. I saw him in the game yesterday, Malik Hartford,
Mm-hmm.
providing more length there, some speed. He's a playmaker. Should have had an interception. He was, I believe, number 25. I don't know if you noticed him, Michael. Did you see him out
I
there?
didn't really notice him. Igmanosin definitely jumped out at me a handful of times that, he made some above average plays.
Hmm. Yeah, no, Igman Osen flashes a corner. Yeah, if we want to talk the corner position, yeah, I like what the corners brought. I guess that's another thing we should like. I guess we like the secondary play in general a lot of times. Denzel Burke looked much improved. Again, this is Indiana. Indiana's passing offense. They might be the worst we play all season outside
I
of
think it.
Youngstown
I think.
State.
I think it will be. I think it's probably going to be the worst.
I expected a little bit more from them from a passing perspective. I thought their quarterback from Center Grove, who transferred from Tennessee, would show a little bit more than that. But then their other quarterback could at least throw a forward pass more. He was the one completing more passes. So
Yep.
yeah, Indiana's offense is horrific. Their defense is not bad, but their offense is horrific. But yeah, I did like what Igbinosin brought. There were some pass completions given up to him, and he doesn't look like a true number one lockdown guy. I kind of saw that coming last year. I mean, he was solid at Ole Miss, but he wasn't infallible either. He's still got a lot of development there, but a lot of speed and a lot of length from him. Denzel Burke looks like he's gotten better, but it's hard to say because it's
Let
Indiana.
me say this about Igmanosa.
Hmm.
Unlike Kyle McCord, where I'm just not super positive on him right now. And we'll get into that more, but I see Igmanosa as having like a significant amount of upside still as he gets out there and plays. Like I think we can see a lot of improvement between say
Hmm.
like now and going into the Penn State game. So no, he's not a lockdown guy, but I do think he's a guy that can keep getting better.
Absolutely. I mean, he's a
Yeah.
true sophomore. He's absolutely going to get better with time and development. Hopefully, Tim Walton is a guy when it comes to developing corners. A lot of these guys he didn't recruit, so we'll see. Linebackers. I really like what I saw from the linebackers. Mike, did you happen to have any opinions on the linebacker position?
Yeah, I mean they were solid. Early on, first drive is about the only complaint I have. Tommy got kind of blown up and out of the play, and they got a pretty big run
Hmm.
there. You don't like seeing that happen, but I mean, you're always going to give up a play here or there. But yeah, I mean, by and large, they plugged the holes and played good pass defense and did their job. So I mean, I don't have any complaints about them.
No, I really don't either. I wouldn't say they outside of Steel Chambers like once or twice. They didn't flash, but they
Mm-hmm.
did what they were supposed to do, and that's all I can ask for. That's all I can ask for the linebackers. They weren't exposed. Again, I can't say it enough. Probably don't need to say it anymore. It is Indiana. They're probably the second worst offense we are going to play all season.
Mm-hmm.
But they did what they were supposed to do. I like what I saw from them. Um, I don't think I really noticed Tommy Eichenberg too much. I know he made like one tackle where he kind of flashed, but Steele made some plays. I know he gave up one pass reception over the middle, but the coverage was great. You can't complain about it. The guy just made a great catch.
Yeah.
But Steele was, alert. He played sound, fundamental football, tackled well, especially on that first drive. The guy didn't slip the tackle. He made it. So really like what I saw from the linebackers there. Um, So let's start with the things. So well, I guess not start.
Jay, I can't say I'm super pumped about what I saw from our 2 5-star ends. I mean, I know that Indiana only threw the ball 20, I think 20 times by my count, and by the box score that I'm putting the two quarterbacks stats together. But man, it just other than early in the game, and it wasn't JT or Sawyer getting the pressure. I just didn't see a whole lot out of those two guys.
I agree. No pressure from the defensive ends. Picking up where we left off last season. Everybody came up with these super high expectations for Jack Sawyer and JT Tuimoloau. And I always said, based on what? What have they really ever done to get these accolades? I haven't seen it. I think they're just getting these accolades because they were just 5 stars. And yeah, 5 stars absolutely matter. I am the biggest advocate for getting 5 star players at every position because that's what wins national championships. But that doesn't mean they're infallible. There are 5 stars that bust, and
Yeah.
if you ask me right now, this is their true junior year. One game into Indiana. Would if someone were to ask me, do I think both of these players are bust? And the answer is yes. No
Yeah.
pressure from Jack or JT. I want to see a little bit more of Caden Curry and Kenyatta Jackson because Caden Curry at least caused some disruption.
Caden Curry looked like he had something that Jack Sawyer just doesn't seem to bring for whatever reason. I mean,
He's got a little bit more moves. Now he's not as big. He doesn't have the length, but he's faster. So like early the first drive of the game, Indiana ran that spread option to Jack Sawyer's side. He did not keep contained at all, and he's just so slow. It's like he's running in quicksand. This is a guy supposedly played quarterback in high school for Pickerington North. He has like no foot speed. He looks like he should, I don't know, be playing defensive tackle, not defensive end. He's not a
yeah.
great athlete out there, and he's trying to track this quarterback down. Didn't come close to the guy, and they gave up 11-yard run.
I'm going to be a little more. I'm not quite ready to say bust, but if let's get through the Notre Dame game, and if I'm not seeing, maybe even get to the halfway point of the season.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get to the halfway point of the season. And if I'm not seeing like significantly better play out of those two, then yeah, I'll be willing to say that they were major disappointments. And I'm starting to lean towards that Jack Sawyer, maybe he just is not what we thought he was. I mean, he's a true junior, and maybe he was just overrated or didn't develop or whatever, but it just doesn't seem like that sizzle is there.
Tell you what, it's not the best optics for a guy who sat out his senior season of high school football.
Yeah.
I mean, I know at the time everybody's acting like, oh, he's a kid, let him do what he wants. Like, oh, all right, well, I don't remember if he was with the team or not. I can't speak on that, but I can tell you this: if I had a teammate that high, doing well, and he's just sitting out for personal reasons, just to get ready for college and stuff, I wouldn't want him around my team. I'm like, get the hell out.
Yep.
You're not a part of this team. Get out. Kind of
Yep.
the similar to like Nick Bosa when he came back for the Rose Bowl a few years ago when he sat out and he just left the team and then came back. Like, no, dude, you're not a part of the team anymore. Yeah, I'm glad for what you gave us when you were here, but you're not here anymore. Especially just leaving like that. So I'm not a fan of that. But bad optics from that point of view.
I think with the defense, like, I mean, you can say like there's not a lot to complain about, but there's also not a lot to get super excited about at this point. I mean, can you do much better than 150 yards against a Power 5 team? No, you can't do much better than that. But that still, as we know, that still doesn't mean that this is the type of defense that can take really good offenses and hold them to, under 30 points. I mean, we don't know that. I mean, maybe, but we don't know that. And so,
playing Indiana, we're not going to get any answers there.
Yeah.
Okay, so offensive line. Were you able to watch the offensive line close at all?
Yes, I paid. I that was an area that I really paid attention to. Didn't look good.
Okay, what didn't look good? Anybody
The
in
tackle
particular?
did not look good. Simmons looks like a player from San Diego State that's trying to now play at Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Again, very early. That's a very developmental position. maybe by game 4 to game 6, he looks totally different. But boy, if he doesn't start to look different in the next few games, like it's time to see what other options we have, because he did not look good. And one thing I'll say that like I believe it was Simmons' side. Maybe it was the other tackle, and so I'm blaming Simmons for something that wasn't his. But of the 3 plays that Brown got in the first half, the first well, no, this was the second half, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
The one throw he threw over to the side. You remember the little pass he dumped over to the side?
Yeah.
The tackle had his man, and he should have been aware that the safety valve is out there as the blitzer's coming through, and gotten off back to the blitzer. He didn't. So the guy comes right through the line untouched and nails the flat route over there. So that's just one example, but I mean, just very below par offensive line play as a general rule for Ohio State playing Indiana.
Yeah, I did not watch the offensive line as close. I was trying to watch more on the highlights this morning, everything. I can say yikes. Still can't run block particularly well, picking up from last season, not able to run in short yardage very well. You're letting too much penetration happen, and this is not just from the offensive tackles. This is like the centers and guards as well. Just in front, and the pass blocking is iffy. I wouldn't say it was bad. I don't know if we actually I don't think we gave up a sack yesterday.
That was a strong point. The
Yeah,
pass
pass
blocking was
blocking was
solid.
fine.
That was a strong point.
Run blocking is still a problem, and this goes back to Justin Fry. He hasn't overly impressed me in his short stint in Columbus. His recruiting is very average, and his coaching, leaves a little bit to be desired there. Thought we'd be a little bit improved in the running game after Stradrawa left. All everybody did is rip on Greg Stradrawa, and Justin Fry doesn't look like he's any better than Greg Stradrawa on either side so far. So I can't add much to the offensive line. I'll defer to your expertise on that.
No, I mean, Stud, he got an injury and really wasn't able to recruit to his full potential. But prior to that, he pulled some pretty good offensive linemen. And Fry has not even met up to that level yet. And so we'll see. Again, offensive line's very development, and it's very early. But if he's a $1 million offensive line coach, then I need to see him take this offensive line and at least make it above average. And yesterday, it wasn't there. Unfortunately, it wasn't there.
So this is going to segue into another part here, and this is where maybe the offensive line gets a little bit of a break based on the personnel, but it doesn't make sense to me that Travion Henderson is our starting running back. I personally I am of the belief that he shouldn't be playing that much. He should be maybe like running back number 3. He can't read the running lanes, and he bounces outside still too often. I find it funny that I've said that Henderson in his freshman year, I didn't think was that great of a back. He was very average. He just had like massive, gigantic lanes to run through against some bad teams at the time.
Tulsa, about 300 yards rushing was against Tulsa.
Exactly. That's exactly my point. And those rushing lanes were a mile wide.
Yeah.
And he's not, everybody advertises him as being like this super speedy back, but he's not a home run hitter. He gets caught from behind too often. Go back to his freshman year. He's getting caught from behind by Tulsa, getting caught from behind by Penn State. He's not outrunning defenses. And he's not a power back, and he's not taking the tough yards. Like, what is he bringing to us? It is harder for an offensive line to block for a guy who, is not reading the correct lane either. So then that goes to where, like, that will go into another point.
Yeah,
But
let me say,
I don't think Travion should be starting. There
let
are
me
better
say,
backs
Jay,
on the
early in
team.
the game, the offensive line, it was kind of a stretch play to the outside, and the offensive line actually created a very nice crease, which gave Travion essentially, if he puts his head down, hits the crease, it gives Travion a one-on-one with, just going by memory here, what looked to be a safety. And instead of taking that one-on-one with the safety, where worst case scenario, you're going to get 8 to 10 yards, he bounces to the outside, creates another defender for himself in the sideline, and maybe gets 7-8 yards out of the play. So I mean, it was a decent play, but if he cuts it up the seam where the hole really was, he's still going to get that 8 or 10 yards, and he might have a chance with that one-on-one matchup with the safety to break it for 20, 30, 40. But it seems to be a problem with him, and I would have said, at certain parts of the game, I would have said, oh, well, let's give Travion a break because the offensive line is blocking very poorly for him. And it certainly did appear that way. But then Chip Trayanum comes in, and he doesn't seem to have problems finding holes in his limited amount of runs. And he got far less opportunity than Henderson. So I tend to agree with you on this point.
Yeah, I listened to some Ohio State beat reporters yesterday. They were making a comment about Trayanum walking off the field yesterday. Um, I think he made the comment like these fuckers are like they should stop playing with me or something like that. Now I don't know. He could be referring to Indiana and them talking shit. Like he could be referring to the coaching staff not playing him as much. I don't know, but yes. So this is going to segue into another point here.
Well,
Is
Jay, on that point, if you're
yeah,
a competitor, and I think that Travion is, I've got a note here. Running back, Chip Travion is an elite athlete, and he showed it. So that's a note that I've got there. That's what jumped out at me, watching the game. But if you're a competitor and you had 5 touches, was it 5? Is that what he got?
is
5?
that how few he had?
I think he had
Wow.
5 for about 50 yards. So he averaged roughly 10 yards a carry. And then you've got a guy ahead of you that had 13 touches for less than 50 yards. I mean, I would go all this team stuff. I know that we want to be team players and everything like that, but let's be realistic. If I'm a competitor, and I believe that Chip is, I'm walking off that field like mad. Like I could have had 130 or 40 yards that game if you would gave me the ball.
So stats right here I'm looking at. Travion had 12 carries for 47 yards, 3.9 average.
Okay.
Chip DeMonte, I call him DeMonte because I don't know. I guess Chip is his nickname, but
Mhm.
8 carries, 57 yards,
Okay, 8 carries. He had a few more than
7.1
5.
average.
Yeah.
Mayan Williams didn't carry for a great average. He had 7 for 25. He did have 2 touchdowns, but he is our power back, so it kind of makes sense there. Yeah, so the running game wasn't great, but I think it was really hurt by, playing the backs that just don't play as well. And I don't know, man. We need new guys there. I really think Travion is probably back number 3.
Yeah.
Heck, he might even be back number 4 because, like, where is Evan Pryor? We don't see him at all. I mean, we don't even know what we have of him. We've heard a lot about him. He flashed in the spring game a year or two ago,
I'll
but
give
this,
a
yeah.
little time for that because he's coming off that injury. Like maybe like it's a scenario that you want to, you don't want to, get him out there until you're feeling really, really good that he's healthy. But I mean, I also, on the other hand, like I think he's pretty healthy. So I don't know. I don't know why we're not seeing him at all. Maybe we will in the games to come.
Well, this is going to segue into another point about all of this. And this is something I also had a problem. I mean, I had a lot of problems with this game and a lot of things in general. A lot of analysts are saying similar, some not. But the lack of substitution on both sides of the ball. This is a typical Ryan Day MO. He says these guys are all going to play a lot. They don't end up really playing at all. Uh, Devin Brown start off the quarterback position, really didn't play at all. I feel like he was done a massive injustice. Give him
Mhm.
like a couple drives at that point when the offense is not doing anything. CJ Hicks, I was calling for CJ Hicks. I didn't see him. Maybe in the fourth quarter he played some, but by then that's garbage time. I don't care about that. I didn't see the defensive tackles rotating as much.
Malone got in at the end, and this is Indiana, and this is towards the end of the game, but he got
Mhm,
in at the end and looked like a monster. Now, he was probably a little bit angry, and rightly so, that he really didn't get any reps,
mhm.
but he got in there and blew up his blockers and made a very nice tackle in the limited time that he was in.
Um, Hero Canoe as well. Hero Canoe is in that boat as well, by the way.
Mm.
Not until the fourth quarter. Where was Jihad Carter? Did Jihad Carter play?
Some are saying he's still banged up. I don't know if that's true or
Okay.
not.
I
You
hope
know,
he's banged up because if
yeah,
he's not and he didn't play,
yeah,
I would be very pissed off. Like, why in the fuck did I transfer here if you're not going to play me? Like, I
yeah,
would be looking to transfer again, and I couldn't blame him. I would just, like, what the
yeah.
hell? Like, we had an understanding here. He was a good player at Syracuse in the ACC. He's not playing at all now at Ohio State. It's not like Ohio State's been a great defense by any means or really knows how to run a defense. So, yeah,
Let me ask
upsetting
you this,
there.
Jay. The rationale that I've gotten about the Brown situation is Ryan Day would have really loved to play him more. He even said this, and then I've heard beat writers and podcasters or whatever kind of give their spin on it. But Ryan Day would have loved to play him more, but it's just that the game didn't get to a place that allowed him to feel comfortable. And so, I mean, I guess if McCord really has looked that much better than Brown, I can buy that. But on the flip side of that, I can also make the argument the guy you have in there is not giving you a comfortable lead against Indiana. So maybe we try something different. you know so anyhow, I'm really frustrated with the fact that Brown, we didn't get to see kind of like how we can compare him to McCord. So that's me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Again, Brown, I believe he was done an injustice there. To be honest, and it's not this week, but I start Devin Brown against Western Kentucky, not against Youngstown State. I start him against Western Kentucky to give him, a little bit more of a feel for like a Division 1 game. I love the Penguins and everything, but they are still a 1AA team. They don't have the athletes that probably even Western Kentucky has. Um, Give him like real life reps in a game. Let's see what he really has. Start McCord
Let me
against
ask you this.
Youngstown State. Huh?
If your day, do you say McCord, you've got against YSU? Do you say McCord, you've got the first half, Brown, you've got the second half, or do you say I've got to get the guy that I think is the number one as many reps as possible? Is Brown even really in this race? Did Ryan Day like string us all along? Because if I'm going based on what I saw yesterday, I'm having to conclude that Ryan Day told us all based on his decisions yesterday that McCord has much more won this job than he led us to believe.
It could be. It could be. And if that's the case, I hope that's not true, but I don't know. Nobody knows for sure. I mean, maybe like the head, maybe the coaching staff doesn't even know all of them. Ryan Day knows, and probably Brian Hartline knows, Justin Fry knows, but it's hard to say. It is absolutely hard to say like what the truth is. I hope that at this point the starting quarterback race is not over because again, yeah, do I think McCord was horrible? No. I don't think he was good either. I thought he was just okay. Well, okay is not going to win a national championship at Ohio State, not with our defensive deficiencies, not with our lack of a running game, not with like not having explosive tight ends. Our tight ends are okay, but don't be mistaken, they're not Brock Bowers out there.
No, they're not. Stover looked pretty good yesterday. I mean, that
Yeah,
was
he's a solid possession receiver. Yeah, he was
mhm,
wide open against Indiana. I
mhm,
think they probably just kind of fell asleep on him more
mhm.
than anything because they were paying so close attention to
And that was a
Marvin.
nice throw by McCord. I will give him
Yeah,
due.
no, he can sling it, and he should have had another touchdown. And I guess that's something like off topic, but really not impressed with like Marvin Harrison's effort yesterday, getting jammed out of bounds, not immediately coming back inbounds to make that catch. Like that should have been a touchdown for Kyle McCord, and Marvin Harrison's dumbass fucking doesn't even like get back in bounds right away. Like, dude, do you even want to be there? Are you that upset that CJ Stroud is not here anymore? Like, he didn't. The effort didn't seem to be there from him, especially not on that play. I was very disappointed with him.
Jay, I've got chaos going on out here. Take this for just a minute, and I'll be right back. Talk about Marv. Talk about what you saw with Marv, because I saw a guy that's got a battle on his hands this year because he's going to be keyed on. He's going to have to be aggressive, trying to get free, and he wasn't open very much yesterday. So I'll be right back. Sorry for the delay, everybody. But Jay, talk about that for a second.
Absolutely, absolutely, Mike. Yeah, as everybody can see, it sounds like his dogs are going crazy. Hopefully, everything's okay in his household there. But speaking about Marv, he's not going to win the Heisman. Everybody, I just want to make that very clear. He's not going to win the Heisman. I think he had. Hold on, let me pull up the stats for everyone here for Marvin Harrison yesterday. I believe him and Abuka together only had like 30, 40 yards. But let's find out. Let's find out together. Let me check the box score here. Da, 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 da. Marvin Harrison had 2 catches for 18 yards. Emeka Ibuka, 3 catches, 16 yards. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What a difference a year makes, everyone. What a difference a year makes. These guys, it's going to be tougher for them this year. We don't have the quarterback play. It's very clear on that regard. Marvin, the times that he is going to get open and have an opportunity, he's got to be playing harder than what he did, stepping out of bounds or being forced. So that he was pushed out of bounds, but you have to You have to immediately come back in and make an effort to establish yourself in bounds before catching the pass. He didn't. He took like 2 or 3 steps still out of bounds, then came back in and made the catch. Can't do that. You can't do that. And you have to be more physical. You can't just get jammed like that. The guy wasn't as big as him. Like, dude, you're like 6'4", 215 pounds. Show some physicality, buddy. Show
That
some physicality because NFL teams are going to be dissecting that and see that you have a weakness there. You have a weakness against press coverage. Other analysts have said the same.
yeah, I
And
mean,
Michael, I was just talking about, Marv and Mecca are going to have to buy
okay.
in
You,
because the quarterback play is just not up to par. The effort's going to have to be there when the seldom opportunities are there. They're going to have to take advantage of it. It's really all I can really say about it.
you listen to him a lot more than I do, but Zach Smith, kind of a controversial character, and I do catch his podcast on occasion, but not a lot. I know that you do, somewhat regular,
Mm-hmm.
but he has said that. And so if there's one area that like I definitely listen to Zach Smith on, it's when he's actually evaluating football. Sometimes some of the other things, maybe I, kind of take it with a grain of salt, but
Mm-hmm.
he has said that Marv is not great using his hands off the line and getting early separation. And so he kind of was proven right yesterday that,
Oh yeah, I mean
yeah,
absolutely. Zach Smith makes some great points. There's some points I disagree with as well, but that's okay. That you can do that. You're never going to agree on everything.
right.
Um, but man,
On a positive side, I finally, and I don't know how much it'll manifest this year, but I finally saw a little bit of flash with Fleming that made me,
yes, I was going to speak about that. I
yeah. So
really did like Julian Fleming,
I'll give mine
and
real quick, and then I know you can go. I
mm-hmm,
mean, and you can go because I know that you have had some thoughts on him more so than myself. But
mm-hmm.
I finally saw yesterday what it is that caused him to be the number one wide receiver in the country, even though he hasn't really played up to that through his first 3 years. But do you know what I saw yesterday?
What'd you see?
I saw and I am not saying he's going to get to this level. I'm saying I saw similarities of a Mike Evans type of receiver out of Julian Fleming.
Okay.
Hmm.
Well, I will take that. I believe Mike Evans is also like 2 inches taller than him, but yeah, that would be awesome. I'll take
So
it.
how tall is Fleming? Is he
I
6'3"?
Now he's 6'2".
He's only 6'2".
Yeah, he's
Okay.
6'2", but only
Okay.
6'2". He's tall. I mean, well, you're about 6'2", aren't you? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I'm 6'2".
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm only 5'10", 5'11" on a good
Mhm.
day.
Mhm. Yeah.
So, yeah, really like what Julian Fleming brought. He was our leading pass catcher from the receiver position, 6 catches for 58 yards, showed physicality, got open, made all the catches. There was a debate there that Carnell Tate was going to steal reps from him and all that stuff. Again, extremely minuscule sample size, but I can say this. Carnell Tate is not as good as Julian Fleming. Not right now. Carnell Tate's still a true freshman. You can see it. He doesn't have the physical development yet. Yeah, is he going to be good in time? I'm sure that he will be. Yesterday, he didn't really show me anything to be warranted to play over Julian. That's for sure. Julian is bigger, just as fast. He might not be as fluid, but he is a sure pass catcher. I believe Carnell Tate had a catch that he should have had. Now, granted, the dude did make a pretty solid hit on him, but if you're a Ohio State level receiver, you make that catch at the 2 yard line and he dropped it. So
Yeah.
I don't see why Carnell Tate should be playing over Julian Fleming. The coaching staff did make a good choice there to play Fleming more over Carnell Tate.
Yeah.
Carnell Tate needs to show me more to be getting more reps there.
I do like that he's at least getting some reps. I think that that's been a weakness in the Ryan Day era, period. And
Mhm.
if Hartline has a weakness, that's been one of them. Is he doesn't get younger guys reps. So I like that he's getting in there some. But yeah, I mean, at this stage, it certainly looks like Fleming is more deserving than Tate. Tate, he's young and a big moment came and a big moment passed him by and he dropped it.
So 2 points I wanna talk about the scheme. Number 1, and I guess this goes back to the quarterbacks being game managers and everything, but where were the deep throws yesterday?
They
I at
weren't
least
there.
try a couple times. I know one time we did throw deep to Marvin once that drew a pass interference.
Mhm.
But I will say this also about that one deep throw. The DB could have turned around and made a play. I'm not saying he would have made an interception, but he could have made a play on the ball. I really didn't like the lack of downfield passing. Like, where's the down? Oh, that's right. They did try and throw deep to Fleming once, and also in the middle of the field. So that's 2 times they threw. I believe in my personal rule book, you should be throwing deep 6, 7 times a game to keep a defense honest. But I
Mm.
didn't see it. What do you have any thoughts on that, Michael? I didn't particularly like that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you can attribute it to a super conservative game plan with a very conservative quarterback. And I'm not even going to say a very conservative young quarterback because he's not that young. He's a junior. So I mean, maybe he's just a very conservative guy. Maybe that's how he plays quarterback.
Yeah, see, that goes back to that game manager thing. He's not going to stretch the field. He's not going to win you the game. Maybe in time, but I doubt it. I mean, he's a junior at this point. Yeah, was he done a disservice last year not playing much under Ryan Day? Absolutely. Did I
Mhm.
still expect more than from what I saw from him yesterday? Yes, I do. Two things can be true at once. So,
Yeah,
um
there was a throw that it was just a basic out route.
mhm.
Marvin broke wide open. It's a throw that, and I'm not being like mean. It's a throw that you would expect a good high school quarterback to make because Marvin was open by like 5 yards, 6 yards, like very open,
Mhm.
and McCord just threw it errant. It was just an errant throw. So I didn't see. I mean, I could see maybe he'll get better. I don't know. I'm just not real optimistic about what the ceiling is for him.
No, no, I mean, I'm not either. He's just, again, a game manager. Want to say again, I don't care if I know that he can make the throw, but this coaching staff is going to have to pull him, or they're going to have to draw up some plays and be like, listen, throw the ball deep, even if it's incomplete. You just throw it over everyone's heads. Don't throw an interception. Throw it over everyone's heads. Make Indiana's defense back off because Indiana's defense was attacking, blitzing a lot. Uh, you have to put them on their toes and make them understand that you're willing to throw down the field, because if you're not willing to throw down the field, you're defending like a lot less of the field. You're defending like half the field if you're not willing to throw down the field. So it makes it much easier to defend as a defense. So didn't like that at all. Another thing I didn't like schematically, and I mean it's hard. It would be hard to really say you can criticize this considering they only gave up 150 some yards, but I just want to know, where was the blitzing at from Ohio State yesterday, Michael? We weren't getting pressure from our defensive ends, so where was the blitzing? I don't think they blitzed more than 2 times.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Do you think it's kind of a overreaction from Knowles' troubles last year, even though it wasn't necessarily the Georgia game, it wasn't necessarily blitzing that got him in trouble. It was a little bit, you got in a little trouble the Michigan game, but it was playing aggressive type schemes, cover one and putting guys on islands, stuff like that got him in
Mhm.
trouble. So maybe this is an overreaction to that. He was maybe ultra conservative yesterday, and maybe some of those more exotic type blitzes and disguises, maybe those are being saved for game 4. Let's hope so.
I don't think so. I don't think anything's being disguised. I think he is what he is at this point. He's not an aggressive DC. He gets labeled one though, strangely.
Yeah.
So Yeah, I don't understand why he gets that label as an aggressive DC. I haven't seen much blitzing at all. If they have even from one time, like 2 times from Ohio State yesterday, vanilla game plan. And here's the thing: I would be all for a vanilla game plan. Um, if we were actually getting consistent pressure from the front four. Well, we weren't. So
You're
if you're
not.
not getting pressure from your front four, that means you need to generate pressure. I think I don't know what defensive coordinator it was back in the day, and I always agreed with it. He's like, if you're not getting pressure, keep sending more guys until you do. I completely agree because
Yeah.
it's going to let your athletes play and make football plays. It's going to use their athleticism. Put your athletes out there, man. Your athletes should be able to beat Indiana's athletes. Igbinosun, Denzel Burke, Jordan Hancock should be able to be man coverage, zero coverage, no safety help, and be able to cover Indiana's receivers. Be like, I got you. I'm going to shut you down. No problem. I got this. And then you just send the freaking house. And then Indiana, you sacked them once or like one time on a drive. Now they're sitting at second and 16. Who's to say you can't generate some turnovers from that? I don't
Yeah.
see Indiana going to be able to complete many deep balls against like blitzing packages or anything. I
Yeah.
don't see that happening. Teams of that caliber, you should be blitzing the hell out of and just bury them. I don't get this soft ass mentality of playing so weak on the defensive end. You should be bringing it, man. And that just pisses me off with Knowles. It's like this guy was advertised to be like an Iowa type DC. Well, yeah, we didn't have as much talent last year, but I expected him to be able to formulate some kind of game plan with like zone coverages and stuff and make sure our players weren't exposed. And he was also advertised to be like an SEC style like DC and just be bringing freaking pressure from everywhere. And yeah, outside of the Michigan game last season and at times against Maryland, I didn't see it, man. He's not a super aggressive defensive coordinator. And I'm telling everyone that. Don't be fooled. Knowles is not an ultra aggressive DC. I think he's very average with his schemes and play calling. He just has a lot better talent this year, a lot better talent to use. That's the only reason I really saw improvement yesterday.
This is my last. This is my last topic, Jay. And then if you have anything else, throw it in. But we have a full-time special teams coordinator. The special teams
Hmm.
looked lackluster yesterday. It didn't look good, and I am still concerned about a mismanagement of staff by Ryan Day, because we've got Brian Hartline, a phenomenal wide receivers coach, has been promoted to be the offensive coordinator under the guise that it's time for Ryan Day to start running the program and not just being a play caller. And we now know that that's not happening, at least not now. And Hartline's on the sideline. So I don't know how it's ever going to happen unless we're going to put Hartline in the booth. And this is something that's been brought up by many people besides myself, but it's a very irregular type of thing to have a wide receivers coach as your OC, because the wide receivers coach has to be on the field managing his wide receivers, because that's one of the bigger groups on the offensive side of the ball. And so I don't know how that's going to play out. I don't know if he's ever going to maybe get a GA or an analyst or somebody to coach the wide receivers on the field and put Hartline in the booth. I don't know. It's another concern that I have, because Ryan Day's play calling in season games, it hasn't been anything fantastic for a lot of last season, the first game this season. And the only exceptions to that really are the Georgia game, when he had a lot of time to prepare and put together a very specific game plan. So what are your thoughts on that?
I cannot disagree. Well, I will say that Brian Hartline is the offensive coordinator, but he's not. Ryan Day still calling the plays. So um, I really do wonder if we miss Kevin Wilson. Now, supposedly he ran a little bit more off tackle running plays and not as much
Mhm.
gap schemes.
Mhm.
Um, that Fry is supposedly going to implement more. Um, but at the same time, yeah, I expected a little bit more fire from the offensive play calling from Ryan Day yesterday. He was going to be advertised as being a new and improved head coach after the Georgia game, and he came out throwing haymakers against Georgia in that semifinal game, and we thought we'd see a little bit more of that yesterday. We really didn't see any of it yesterday, so that's concerning. And I mean, I'm sure Ryan Day knows this, but he's under a lot of pressure this year. His seat is a little warm. It's not
Mhm.
hot by any means, but it's a little warm
Mhm.
because he's 2-5 against top five opponents. He's 1-2 against Michigan. I believe he's won. and 3 against the Southeast. Like, those are not records that are going to be good in Buckeye Nation. Like, people are not happy with that. Your goal as an Ohio State coach is to beat Michigan and beat the teams in the Southeast. Those are the games you're supposed to win. He's not
Yep.
winning them. Um, he knows that. I know he's a smart guy, but do I think he's the greatest football coach? No, personally, I don't. But I'm not asking for him to be fired or anything. But he is like being watched closer this season than previous years.
And Penn State, not playing a powerhouse. West Virginia's not a powerhouse. Let's not kid ourselves. But Drew Aller, the Ohio quarterback, that they didn't get, and there was factors for that. The reclassification of Quinn Ewers kind of messed up that recruitment. But Aller looked significantly better than McCord, and Franklin hasn't had very good quarterback play. So for Aller to look significantly better than McCord, just tells me that he's significantly more talented, more than likely.
Well, there's one thing I can't really hold against Ryan Day is that Drew Aller thing, because we did have Quinn Ewers committed and then he reclassified to 2021, and then Drew Aller's already committed to Penn State. That was a tough situation there. That was a
Yeah, no,
really tough.
I'm not blaming him. I'm just pointing out that it appears that he has got quite a bit more talent than the guy that we have behind center right now.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. You have to remember, Indiana sucks, but let's not mistake, West Virginia being a good team either.
No,
Penn
they're
State
they're
was
not
at
good,
home.
but I think they're comparable, or maybe them and Indiana would be a battle to who's going to win.
Yeah, oh yeah, West Virginia sucks too. That was my point. Like,
Yeah.
Indiana sucks, but West Virginia also sucks. Penn State was
Yeah.
playing at home at night in a little bit more comfortable of an environment. Yeah, Indiana's not a tough place to play at all, but let's not mistake West Virginia for a good football team. They went 5-7 last year, and I'm looking at their record. They got blown out by 48-10 to Texas Tech. Now, I don't know what they have on their roster. Half of my family are all West Virginia fans, so maybe I should pay more attention to them. But West Virginia football, I really couldn't care less about. But yeah, just Penn State won 38-15 against West Virginia. Not that impressive. And I tell you what, what also didn't impress me, Michael?
What?
The Big Ten. The Big Ten as a whole. Were you able to check in and see some of those scores, or peek around at the other teams yesterday?
Yeah, slow start for sure. I mean, we'll see how it goes. I didn't see Michigan at all. I saw Penn State. With Penn State, I see what I think will be a pretty formidable opponent. Didn't see Michigan. Wisconsin was not overly impressive. So I mean, very much a slow start for the Big Ten.
Yeah, so I'll speak on the teams I was able to peek on. I was able to watch the end of the Illinois-Toledo game. They won barely. Now, granted, Toledo did win the MAC the previous year, but still, Illinois. I guess Illinois was a solid Big Ten team, but they did lose a lot. They won 30-28, got outplayed. I think Toledo had 100 more yards of offense. I was texting yesterday. I'm like, man, I'm sold on Iowa. First 2 drives of the game, they scored touchdowns. They have former Buckeye Caleb Brown playing running back for them. He plays running back. They got Eric All, the tight end from Michigan, McNamara at quarterback. I'm like, okay, if Iowa has an offense, I'm picking them to win the Big Ten West. They score the first 2 drives of the game, don't do jack shit after. They only beat a terrible Utah State team at home, 24-14. So Iowa sucks. Purdue lost at home to Fresno State. Didn't watch that one. And I know you made mention of Michigan. I did watch the Michigan game. I was able to stream it. And I will say that their offense is not explosive. Their defense is good. Their defense is well coached, but their offense it's not a national championship title offense. That's all I can really say about them. So the Big Ten, in all honesty, I don't think it's any good across the board. I do not believe the Big Ten is any good.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to look better. It wasn't yesterday. Wasn't a good start. I mean, there's got to be teams that take significant steps, which can happen. I mean, from game 1 to game 4, or game 1 to game 5, or whatever. But yeah, it didn't look great yesterday.
Just want to let everybody know, Michael and I, we don't enjoy talking about these kind of things with Ohio State. We love Ohio State. If we could tell you that the roses are red and the sky is blue and the air smells great. We absolutely would do that for all of you. But the problem is it's not like that. Ohio State just that was not a good performance yesterday, people. That
Mm.
was not a good performance by the Big 10. Like I want to be able to be like Georgia is right now and just speak on all of the good and everything that I like and the athletes that we have and the play calling and the defense. Like we don't have that at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like it or not, we're an underachieving program. We are. We are very much an underachieving program with the resources we have, with the talent we're able to accumulate, with the geography we're located in central Ohio. Like Ohio State is not they're not at the level they need to be. They're not. And they should be there. Maybe where I'm looking at this wrong. Maybe Ohio State's not as good of a program as those programs anymore. And the better days have passed them by. But I'm not
Well,
gonna let go.
no, I think that when you look at the composite talent, that it absolutely is right there with those programs. And I'm
Number
gonna,
3 on the composite.
yep,
They have a better star average than Georgia.
yep,
Not as many points because I don't really know how
barely.
that's
It's
factored.
it's essentially a tie. I mean, Georgia's like 5 points ahead
Yeah,
or something. I mean,
Alabama's got a decent lead on
yeah,
both of them, though,
yeah,
by the
Alabama's got a
way.
decent lead on both of them. But you know what? I know you're not the biggest Urban fan, but last year after the Michigan game at the Fox table, he looked at the other correspondents there, and
Mhm.
he said, and this is about his guy that he picked. He said, the talent's there, the players are there, the coaching wasn't there. And I kind of
He
continued to
said that?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
And I continued to see that this week. I did not see a well-coached team. I did not see a team that was ready to come out and play game one. I saw a team that looked discombobulated and clunky. And I'll end on this, and then I'll kick it to you to close it out. The bright side is a lot can change. I think my greatest hope is that somehow Devin Brown is better than Kyle McCord, because if he's not, if he truly is like not as good as Kyle McCord, like then I don't have a great deal of optimism for this season. I think Kyle McCord's ceiling is about a 10-2. It's not a bad season. Would be a top 10 team, but with the other talent that was on this team at receiver, at on defense, and it's not, that's not what we were shooting for. So we'll see if they can get there. We'll see if they can make those improvements. It's possible, but it certainly wasn't pretty to start with.
Yeah, I mean, again, that's all we can do is hope and pray we see improvement. I mean, I don't know. Throughout Ryan Day's time, like the team usually is, they are what they are. I hope that Devin Brown is just given a chance to start a game. I don't think he's going to though, which is an unfortunate fact. But if I were Ryan Day, I would start McCord against Youngstown State, play him until about midway through the third, and then have Devin Brown take over. And then I would let Devin Brown start against Western Kentucky to get a real feel for what we really have with him. And I would do the same. I would do the opposite in that game as the Youngstown State game. I would play Devin Brown up until midway through the third quarter once we have a comfortable lead, hopefully, and then I would put McCord in, and then whoever looks the better one between the two after that uh, cumulative of the two games, then I would start against Notre Dame. That's what I
Yeah,
would do.
yeah, yeah. Well,
So
um, I'll let you sign us off. I think we've
yeah,
covered it.
Michael. Yeah, Youngstown State this week. Not a lot really to break down there. One AA school. They're a solid program. I really don't know what Youngstown State even has. I will say that I actually am not going to be able to watch the game live. Everybody, I'm going to be in Raleigh. I swear I haven't been in my own freaking house in the last like month on the weekends, but I'm going to
Hmm,
Raleigh. I'm going to be attending the NC State Notre Dame game, so I
hmm.
will get a little bit of a sneak preview of Notre Dame up close and
Okay,
personal. The tickets we have as a family are um, on Notre Dame's side, so I'll get a good look and
okay.
perspective there. So, Michael, next week's episode, I'll be leaning on you more for a breakdown of the Youngstown State game.
Yeah. Sounds good. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think there's much that's going to tell us, but at least I'll look forward to watching it.
Yeah, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And I'll do the best I can to watch highlights and maybe there's a replay on Big Tent Network I can record and watch. So maybe I can do that. So, yeah. Other than that, it was fun. Yeah. Well, it wasn't too fun watching the game yesterday. I was out in a Denver, Colorado, Ohio State meet group. Had a lot of fun there. But again, hopefully better times are on the horizon for the Buckeyes. We're here for it. Hey, you know what? If you disagree with us and everything we said, like the video, post in the comments below. Tell me how I'm wrong. Tell me how, like, me and Michael, or maybe we're just full of shit. Maybe we don't know jack shit. Let us know. Just let us know.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah.
answer you. We're here for it. So,
Yeah.
we love everybody that's come out and listened to us today. I'm going to enjoy my day here in Denver. Mike, you have a great rest of your weekend, sir.
Sounds good.
We're signing out. See
See you
ya.
guys next week.